Okay, so now I'm going to give everybody my astrology notes. So you can see, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Sorry, this is kind of crazy. Okay. So Vedic astrology, this is just my notes. This is how I kind of talk about it. There are so many books, so many things that I went through the first video and kind of went through some astrologers that I use. But the basics, I would say, once again, Kapiel Raj, which he is on YouTube, has YouTubes for literally every topic known to man. So once you get your chart, you know, you could Google your ascendant, your moon, conjunctions, because there's so many different things going on in a chart. So Vedic astrology is sidereal zodiac. Vedic astrology is based on the fixed zodiac, fixed stars, nakshatras, and sidereal calculations. Western astrology uses a tropical calculations, tropical ananaksha. I can't even say the word, sorry. Sidereal zodiac is close to a sign behind the Western tropical zodiac. If you download, like this is, so when I tested all this stuff, like I would, and I'm just going to be honest because I'm a conspiracy theorist in a way as well. I don't believe that any astrology that the government gives us is, this is so horrible, but any system the government says or the Western way is the way, I just don't believe that they tell us the truth because of just some of the stuff that I know and believe. So this is from India. I've said this in one of my videos before. And some of the stuff I say, I've said it in bits and pieces in other videos. So, you know, India, in my opinion, some of the smartest people come out of India. I mean, they're engineers, their academics are on different levels. Intuitively, I think it's the right zodiac. The way I've tested it over thousands and thousands of charts, never fails. It's the way I can read them the best. So, not saying that the tropical zodiac is wrong. You can get good readings from it, the same information. And actually, the software that I use, Kala, it even allows you to swap it, and you can, I'll even show you. So, as this is, I'm just going to use my chart for an example, but in Kala, you can go to options. As you see, these are all the different types of calculations that you can use. So there's way more than just tropical and sidereal, as you see. You can even make up your own. So these are the dashas. Dashas are specific time frames. You calculate nakshatra dashas from. You can see how insane this is. So do you want to use the mean node or true node for Rahu and Ketu? This is just all the different things. This astrology software is pretty amazing what it can do. So as you see, for an easy tutorial, you can just go to options, customize Kala, take it to Ernst way, Ernst Wilhem, see, Sagittarius. Just switches it over. And this actually just changed, and I don't know. This way gives me K2 in the 12th, but I know it's in the 1st. So I think this is a little odd, but I think I didn't switch the nodes right. So I stick with my Astro-Vedic way. It's the way I understand the most. You can see here, chart screen options, outer planets. There's all these asteroids. So the Chiron and all that, which I don't know anything about. You can make it North Indian, South Indian style. I read it both ways. It's best to learn it both ways because some astrologers, you know, use it. It's the same system. It's just triangles or boxes. So that's pretty much, you can really just go around with this software. All right, back to my PowerPoint. So I take a star chart, you take a star chart out, stick it in the sky. It will show you that the moon, or that, give you an example, right now, Saturn is basically 2 degrees of 1 degree, 2 degrees of, sorry, there's some helicopters flying by, Sagittarius. So in Western way, Saturn is basically in Capricorn last, like getting ready to back up into Sagittarius. So all the signs are assigned behind. If you take a star chart app, stick it in the sky, it shows you sidereal calculations. So in my opinion, it was like in the moon, every time the moon's in a specific nakshatra, it's sidereal. So I know the precession thing, I know the whole story, I get it, but I don't believe I question a lot of the NASA stuff, a lot of the things. So my opinion is Indians invented the numeric system, the number 0, everything is numerical. This is all numerology. Astrology is all numbers and interpretations. So I'm going to go to the source. I'm going to go to the people from India. They're smart. You can say that's biased or whatever, but that's my way and that's how I look at it. So your rising sign. Your time of birth is so important because whenever you're born, exact time, it's where the planets are and the location you are and where you take your first breath, right? So it's your ascendant will change every 2 hours. Like if I was born at 13:38, 1:38 p.m. If I was born at 15:38, I would have been Sagittarius ascendant, like at the end, maybe even a Capricorn ascendant. If I was born at 11:38, I would have been a Libra. So ascendant. Now, so when people are like, what's your sign? What's your sign? What's your sign? They're talking about your sun sign. That's the newspaper sign. How many babies were born? My birthday is September 12th. How many babies were born from that Virgo time frame in September? A shit ton of babies, right? So your sun sign is like, in a way, the least of importance because it's so not really accurate. Now, don't get me wrong. Where the sun is placed is very, very important. But if you want to know real-time transits, what's going to be happening to you, the most important, in my opinion, is your ascendant, for sure. Moon, second, I guess, but I have my thoughts on that too. So your ascendant, in my opinion, is like the most important. And if you don't know your ascendant, it's really hard to, give accurate readings. I mean, you can give a gist, but I can kind of give readings without knowing times because I study the nakshatras. The nakshatras don't change really throughout the day, so you'll see. So it's your first house is your ascendant. It's the most important part of your chart. It's the map of your life, your destiny. It's how you're viewed by the world. It's going to be how you look. It's going to be how you act. It's going to be your personality. It's going to be your health. It's going to be kind of how you go through your day-to-day activities and, how people see you, really. But sometimes it can be your mask because what your ascendant isn't all about what you are. I mean, quite honestly, when people just say, what sign are you, what sign are you, what sign are you, it's like, no, it's like your chart. To be like, what's your chart made of? It's way more intense than what sign are you. Because some people say they're a Libra ascendant, but they have like 4 planets in Capricorn. They're going to feel so much Capricorn because they've got so many planets in Capricorn. So your moon sign is your feelings, your emotions, how you think, how you feel, your mother, your homeland, your home. It's really how you kind of act and react to things, how you analyze things, kind of behind the scenes. Your sun signs, how the peers, co-workers view you. Your sun sign in astrology is the sign you read in the newspaper, horoscopes, or whatever. Example, my birthday is September 12th. This is why I thought I was a Virgo, which is why I never believed astrology, because I would read Virgo and be like, yeah, not really. I would say the only thing about Virgo that I would ever relate to was I work hard. I mean, but that's it. That's only if I like it, So it's like, I don't know. I never really felt the whole Virgo thing. So there's 12 zodiac signs. As you see, there's Aries, Taurus, Gemini. They go in order, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And each sign has a lordship. There's 30 degrees in each sign. And for instance, Aries, Misha is the Sanskrit name, 0 to 30 degrees. It's Mars is the ruler of Aries, right? So Taurus, sign 2, goes down the list, all the way till you get to 12. So each specific sign has a lord. So you always have to look at your chart. Like, for instance, I'm a Scorpio ascendant. One of the most important things you got to look at, where does your lord of your first house, right? So your first lord is where? Because that's going to be a big influence in your life. Well, my first lord is in my first house, Mars, because I have Mars in the first. So, that's going to make you really kind of independent, focus on yourself, figure out what the hell you're here for, not rely on other people, can be kind of selfish, because I am a little bit sometimes when it comes to what I want and when I want, but I don't rely on others. Like if I want something, I know that I have to do it. I got to figure it out. So the Nakshatras, which I talk a lot about these things. I'm going to briefly get into these, but the Nakshatras, so in each zodiac sign, within those degrees, within the whole solar system, to be honest with you, there are these Nakshatras. So there's 27 Nakshatras. They're spread out through signs. So, for instance, like Purva Bhattapadra is in Pisces a little bit, and it's in Aquarius. So you really have to, look like, you have to know these before you even get into this. So this is like a whole other beast, but we'll go there. Okay, so the sun. Each planet, right, means something in a chart. This is how I interpret it. So sun is your soul, your ego, it's your identity, it's politics, father, authority, it's body, vitality, government, physicians, engineers. So like if you have in these notes, I kind of have like professions there too. So if somebody has the sun heavily influenced in their chart, they could be interested in politics, they could be in politics, they could work for the government, they could work for, or they could be an actor, an actress. A lot of people that have, or have a lot of like sun, Leo, prominent planets. They can be, they're using their creative self-expression. Sun is your soul, it's your CEO, it's bigwigs, it's presidents, it's political figures. Now, it's not always like that, but this is kind of like everything that it can be. Trees, royal favors, circular shape, bite, scorch, wandering over mountains, old age, land, taste, valley grass. Health things, like that's all in here. Sun can be your heart, bones, liver, chest, internal relationships, high officials, government. So if somebody has like an afflicted sun, they could be in trouble with the law. The nakshatras so then I said each sign has a rulership. Well, each nakshatra will have a rulership too. So the nakshatras that are ruled by the sun are Kritika, Uttara Falguni, and Uttara Rishada. So, give you an example. If you have like the sun in Virgo, and it's not in a bad spot. Say if it's in Uttara Falguni, that could could work well, because the sun is in Dicara, even though it's in Virgo. You have to look like, and this is where it gets really dicey and complicated with these nakshatras. So the moon, heart, emotions, mother, mind, sensitivity, caring, nurturing, home, meditation, women, change, public, mass, emotional swings, fame, safety, protection. I'm not going to read through all these, but it's your stomach, it's flowers, epilepsy, enlargement of spleen, consumption. So if you have an afflicted moon, you can have addiction problems. You can be a schizophrenic. If you have afflicted moon, you can have mental disorders. If you have an afflicted moon, you can have issues with your mother. So you can have illusions. You can have a lot of fears, a lot of things like that. The nakshatras that are ruled by the moon are Rohini, Hasta, and Shravana. So Mars is energy, strength, action, ambition, courage, willpower, military, soldiers, motivation, competitiveness, real estate, surgery, engineer, passion, anger, brothers, siblings, enemies, competitors, weapons, sports, athletics, swords, ammunition, like anything like that. Fire, firmness, bold, independence, heat, wounds, blood. So for instance, if you have Mars in the first house, I think you can get nosebleeds. Why? Because I get nosebleeds sometimes. Because it's blood, right? Or you could have accidents with the head, because Mars is accidents. You have to be careful. If you have accidents in your first house, or if you have Mars in your first house, you're accident prone. And if you know that, you just have to be smart, right? So these are where you can take, precautions. So if it's negatively placed, it can be violence, lots of, it can be violence, controls, issues, injuries, accidents. Okay, so Mercury. I have it color coded too, because I need to see colors for me to relate to them. Mercury is speech, intellect, logic, discrimination, left brain, friends, maternal uncles, mass communications, mass trends, any kind of communication. So airplanes, anything. Travel, so anything that gets you from here to there. So when Mercury is retrograde, they say you can have accidents, you can have stuff, there can be problems with delays with flights. Yes, that kind of stuff can happen. Temples, it's your intellect. So sometimes if you can have it's your intellect, your logic, the way you think in a way too. So if you have an afflicted Mercury, it can kind of make you a little crooked. You can make some, how do I say this? It can make somebody think a little backwards, or just not, some of the people's charts that I've looked at, that have corruption in their chart, that have serial killers, they've got afflicted Mercuries. Jupiter is knowledge, happiness, wisdom, evolution, mortality, children, spiritual teacher, husband, talent, fame, all this stuff. Astrology, it's what you look up to. It's your kids, it can be your children, it can be your health, mansions, helping others, humanitarian work, evolution, talents, fortune, masses. So the thing about Jupiter is, though, I've noticed it can also be beliefs, but so for instance, if somebody has a Jupiter that's conflicted, it can be, maybe their morals or their religion or something is so insane where it can make somebody a cult leader, or wrong or bad, or just because it's corrupt. It doesn't just because Jupiter's wisdom, whether you have wisdom for, you know what I mean. So, sorry, the nakshatras are Purnabasu, Vishaka, and Purvabhadra for Jupiter, and these were the nakshatras up here. So when I talk about those. Okay, so Venus is artistic, creative pleasures, desires, music, beauty, wife, sex, entertainment, actor, art, hospitality, interior design, silver, income, flowers, white, sour, buying and selling. Mercury is sales too, because Mercury is buying and selling, trading. If it's negatively placed, it can make you cheat, have affairs, adultery. It can make you indulge in sex, whatever it might be, you know. But it can make you like very, very, because you're just too much into pleasure, you know, like you're just too pleasured out, or you have like expectations of something that's just kind of like out of this world. The Nakshatras are Purva Falguni, Purvashada, and Bharini. Saturn is transformation, fear, servant, doubts, hard work, duties, longevity, slavery, sickness, like illness, chronic disease, teeth, engineering, farming, masonry. It can be real estate, like land. It can be big companies, government, skin, obstruction, distress, sickness, misunderstanding. It's all this stuff. It's Nakshatras are Pushya, Anuradha, and Uttara Bhadrapada. Uttara Bhadrapada is in Pisces, Anuradha is in Scorpio, Pushya is in Cancer. If it's negatively placed, it can make some turbulence, you know, criminals, personality disorders, all kinds of bad things when Saturn's a mess. But if you have a good Saturn, you can be disciplined, organized, healthy, like fit, grow up. Oh, you're just like, you have like a lot of responsibilities, but you're just very disciplined. Rahu, I was talking about Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is the north node in Western astrology. It's what you're here to learn. It's karmic lesson. Secret behavior, shadows, passions, explosion, innovation, extreme gains, fame, paternal grandfather, unexpected events, transformation, chaos, separation, politics, government, entertainment. Sharp, umbrella, hurting by speech, poison, gambling, going abroad, impurities, it's foreign things, foreign people. Emotional imbalance, hurting people by speech. So people that have like prominent Rahus can be like extreme. Like if you have a kid that has Rahu in the first house, it's going to be that kid with like ADHD. It can be like the wild child hyper kid. But when you have Rahu in the first, you tend to always have some sort of fame. Like you'll be prominent, you'll stick out, you'll stand out, whether it be good or bad. The Nakshatras are Ardra, which is in Gemini, Swati, which is in Libra, and Shadabhishak, which is in Aquarius. So then we have Ketu. Ketu is the south node of the moon. Isolation, loss, spirituality, outcast, detachment from the world, intuition, secrets, moksha, maternal grandmother, occult, terrorism. Accidents in the head, past life, researchers, monks, spiritual healer, scientists, metaphysical studies, spiritual studies, dogs, other worlds, luxuries, books, paternal grandfathers, skin stuff, Ganesh, vulture, salvation, unsatisfied doctors, cooks, vultures, all this stuff. Psychics, depression, anxiety, ghost, fear of being killed. I swear I always have a fear that somebody's like stalking me and chasing me around. It's K2. Well, I used to have that fear, not anymore. Okay, so that's the planets. Now, there are the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I use them a little bit. Uranus is astrology. That's what I want the Leo King is going to come here and do a, talk about the north node, south node, or not the north node, sorry, the outer planets and Chiron, maybe some of those things, because I don't, I'm not that familiar with them, as knowledgeable, that good with them. I know the basics. So Uranus is sudden change, innovation, rebelliousness, airplanes, earthquakes. Neptune is money that slips through your fingers. It can be addictions. I've noticed people with like heavy Neptunes with Neptunes in like Pisces, they can have addiction problems. They can be aloof. They can lie. It's, you know, but it also can be they're intuitive. So it just depends. It's films, photography, stuff like that. Pluto is power, death, and rebirth, sexuality, money and government, atomic energy, volcanoes. So that is the outer planets, just like a quick gist of them. Okay, and then here are the houses, right? So whatever house is your ascendant, that's going to be your first house, right? So the minute you're born, like I said earlier, this is my ascendant. That's, I put the triangle so you can see it's the triangle. So if you've got a reading from me and I sent you your chart, where the triangle is, that's your ascendant out of this whole little box. And then you count over 1, 2. And then I have in here, if it's South Indian style, you count this way. And if it's North Indian, you count this way. So first house, second house, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Remember seventh, I always just remember quickly, like seventh is directly right here, right? 6 and 12, second and eighth, just because there's aspects that come this way. And then in Western astrology, however you look at it, you go around this wheel in the wheel, right? Counterclockwise. So it's good to learn them all, just so you can read any chart. The first chart's your ascendant, your appearance, the head, body, personality, vitality, longevity, younger brothers, gains, brain, foundation of your chart, ego, politics, business, athlete, trainer, educational field. Why is Aries? Aries is the first zodiac sign. So the natural zodiac house for the first house is Aries. So, you know, you have to look at these things too. So that's the natural zodiac. That's why there's a chronological order for the signs. So your second house is financial gains, family values, speech, food, early childhood, growth, savings, right eye, jewelry, loss or damage, worldly possessions, eyesight, domestic comfort, self-esteem, speech, it's growth from here down, public speaking. So it's also speaking, right? It's if you're like, so if somebody has, you know, some heavy planets in there, they could be somebody that has a foul mouth, or they could be a public speaker, you know? Your third house is courage, hard work. It's a house of improvement. It gets better with time, competitiveness, contracts, communication, anything communication, writing, hands, arms. It's Mercury. So it's the third sign. It's Gemini. Gemini is the natural third house. Journalism, because think about this. Geminis, they're good with communication, right? So it's just kind of how that works. It's your hands, shoulders, arms, right ear, lungs. Fourth house, property, ancestry, early foundation, vehicles, property, homeland, real estate, all of that kind of stuff. Heart, it's your heart, chest, and it can be your lungs too. It's like from here down. So fourth house is natural sign is moon, or is Cancer. Fourth sign, it's the moon, that's why it's blue. The fifth is natural sign is Leo. So the fifth house is, you know, think about Leos. Like it's all about intelligence, emotions, romance, speculation, luck, gambling, business. It can be the entertainment field. It's anything with creativity. It's using your creative self-expression. Anything you create. It's your liver, spleen, pancreas, digestion, stomach. It also, I have noticed, like if somebody has, it can be rape, because if it's just, I don't know why it is, but it is. Sixth house, it's one of the houses that are the easiest house. It's the everyday work life, it's sicknesses, illnesses, debts, disputes, accidents, war zone, fights, enemies that you know of. So say you have Venus in the sixth house, you might have women enemies, right, in the workplace. It's just how that works. Large intestines, kidneys, anus, common colds, basic diseases. So say somebody has a lot of planets in the sixth house, they could be a doctor. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have a lot of enemies. Your 7th house is your opposite sign. 7 houses away, it's your partners who you're going to be attracted to. 7th house is pleasure, spouse, partnerships, it's litigation, divorce, it's fame because it's for the masses. It's external sex organs, urinary tract, semen, organs. 8th house is endings, career change. It's all the Scorpio stuff because Scorpio is the 8th sign of the zodiac. 7th is Libra, so think about 7th house Libra. We're about to have a big storm. We're going to have to cut this short because I've right now, if Uranus is traveling in the 6th house, I'm afraid I'm going to get electrocuted. So the 8th house is endings, career change, sex, death and rebirth, inheritances, sex, secrets, investigations, affairs, mafia, obstacles with in-laws, inheritance, addictions, disgrace, taxes, government spies. So it's anything like Scorpio. Deep-rooted issues, spies, death and rebirth, mortician, insurance, astrologers, physics, metaphysical stuff, CIA, FBI. Now, it also can be like inheritance from in-laws, right? 'Cause there's this house-to-house system thing. The 9th house is Sagittarius, so it's long-distance travel, religion, fortune, good luck, or it's higher, like, philosophy, teachers, books, wisdom, PhD, spiritual development, pilgrimage, guru, hips and thighs. 10th house is profession. It's Capricorn, so think of it's ruled by Saturn, right? That's why I have it black here. Saturn I keep as like the black color. Profession, karma, character, fame, publicity, authority, career, father, government favors, honor, status, trade, business, all this stuff. Knees, joints, bones, hairs, back. 11th house is games, it's Aquarius. Friends, network, circles, elder siblings, loss of mother, fulfillment, big money, groups and friends, side ventures, winning. It's like your hopes, wishes, your dreams. It's also the left ear, ankle, and legs. 12th house, last zodiac sign, it's Pisces. It's self-sacrifice, hospitals, jails. It's escaping, it's other worlds. It's psychics, metaphysical stuff, hidden talents. It's things you can't see because it's secrets. Secret stuff, hidden things, hidden enemies, hospitals, ashrams, yogas, meditation, foreign lands, foreign business, endings, loss, letting go, moksha, film, photography, production, feet, left eye. So these are all the 12th house. These are just some of the things that they can be. So remember how I said, for instance, I'm a Scorpio, right? So since I'm a Scorpio, my second, it goes in order, right? So your second house would naturally be Sagittarius. Always goes in order through the zodiac sign. So Libra would be my 12th house because it's going to start at Scorpio, start at number 1. It's going to be your first house, so it's going to go around signs. These are just my little notes on the Nakshatras. So there's 27 Nakshatras you can see. And this is where it gets in, it is storming here, like this floor is shaking. So Aries it's ruled by Mars. There's 3 Nakshatras in the sign of Aries, right? 0 degrees, 13 degrees, it's Ashwini. Second is Bharini, it's 1320 to 2640. And then Kritika, 2640. Then Kritika goes off into Taurus too. So somebody that's, and then, so here's where it gets confusing. So within these 27 Nakshatras, which these are the 27 Nakshatras, right? There are 4 padas. Pada 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Each Nakshatra has a ruler. Sweeney ruled by Ketu, Bharini Venus, Kritika Sun, Rohini is Moon, Mrigashira is Mars, Ardras goes down the line. But then each pada, there's 4 padas in each nakshatra. So, for instance, like I just said, Kritika, like pada 1 and 2 and 3 are in, I think it's 3. Pada 1, 2, or 3 are in Aries, but then pada 4 is in Taurus. So this is how it gets dicey. So if you're born Kritika pada 4, you're going to have more Taurus energy, right? It's in Taurus. So this is why it doesn't matter if you really like, these aren't going to change throughout the day. So you can kind of read charts this way. I don't believe that your moon nakshatra is the most important one. I think they're always just as important as the moon. I think your ascendant might be just as important, and anything in your first house. So these are the 27 nakshatras. I did find it kind of interesting that Saturn, I was watching this thing on Saturn with David Icke, and Saturn, the number is 8 for Saturn, right? It's the lucky number 8. Well, look how interesting this is. The 3 nakshatras that are ruled by Saturn, and actually Revati down here, even though it's orange, it's Mercury. That was a mistake I made. So Uttara Bhadra is ruled by Saturn. Look at 2 plus 6, it's nakshatra 26. Numerology, that date. Anurada, nakshatra number 17, 1 plus 7 is 8. Pusha, which is in Cancer, 8. It's really kind of weird. So I don't even want to go there right now, but something I just noticed. This I have off of this, I found this off of YouTube and I really like this. It was a lady, shoot, I should find her. She talks into the padas. If you find Dr. Arjun Pai, she goes into the padas. I forget her name. She really breaks them down nicely. And I found this from her. I snipped it. Because you can see, like, Aries, there's this whole thing, I'm not going to, this is for another day. I'm not even going to go there. But you can see how Aries, see, it's like Aswini, Barini. Pisces is Revati, Uttara Bhadra, and Purva Bhadra. A little bit of that. Aquarius is here. So this is when I do readings for people, when I talk about these nakshatras. These are what they are. And you can actually see these. They're in a star chart app. Put them in the sky. They're in, like, the zodiac. They make, like, they're, for instance, there's, like, thousands of stars that make Revati, or hundreds, whatever the count is, you know, and it makes up this specific, they're stars, like it's a constellation. Revati's the drum, you can see it, stick it in the sky, see, there's different parts of it. Okay, so other factors that you need to look at when you read charts. Okay, so here's where it gets kind of crazy. So you have to look at the planet lordship. I already talked about that. So the lordship, the conjunctions. So if you have, what's a conjunction? Okay, and if also, these are the nakshatras over here in Kala, right? You can see, here's the sign, the degrees, the dignities. You have to look at the dignities. Are the dignities, is it debilitated? Like Venus in Virgo is considered debilitated. It's not happy there. Saturn is exalted in Libra, so I have an exalted Saturn, right? Even though it's in the 12th house, it's supposedly exalted. So that's what these dignities are. So you have to look at the degrees. Degrees matter. Is a planet, 0 degrees? That's powerful and strong. Is it 2 degrees, 3 degrees, that makes a difference. That makes a difference in transits, like what's transiting certain things. That's going to be important. Is it retrograde if you're born in a retrograde planet? Rahu and Ketu are always traveling backwards, right? So each planet, as they're going through, traveling around whatever, I'm sorry, I'm not the most, technical person, so I kind of just talk with how I think. But the moon travels every 30 days. The moon travels in its sign every 2.5 days. So we'll be in a sign, the moon. So if you're ruled by the moon, you could have a different feeling a different day, and it's just natural, So the moon's in Scorpio for 2.5 days. It's in Sagittarius for 2.5 days. But if you get Dr. Arjun Pai's app, Cosmic Insights, you can see that's where the nakshatras come into play, because it shows the moon is in Revati, the moon is in Uttara Bhadra for the next day and a half. This is where it gets intense. Mercury or sorry, the sun travels every 30 days. The Mercury is like 20 days. Venus is 35 days or something like that. Mars, so big ones can be Mars because it's traveling for 4 months, right? Saturn's a biggie because it's in a planet for 2 years. Jupiter, it's 1 year, so it's can be important. And then it goes retrograde, it goes back and forth through a sign, right? So when you look at a chart, you know some big transits are going to be like Jupiter transits, Saturn transits, Rahu and Ketu transits, because Rahu and Ketu, it's like over a year and a half, 18 months or something, it's in a sign. And you really got to watch those because those are the ones that cause the most chaos. So, you know, you really have to look at the Nakshatras. They're going through this Nakshatras in the zodiac. That's when this stuff gets pretty insane. So when you look at transits, like you can really tell what's going to happen to somebody in their life with big ones, Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu, and Ketu. You know, Mars kind of, for sure, like you got to be like, hey, for the next 4 months, be careful because you could be going through this. Now, if they're a real estate agent, you could be like, you guys could make a lot of transactions, you could sell a lot of houses, you could move. You know, it just depends on what your chart looks like. Okay, so that's all the planets, that's their signs. So another thing you have to look at, not only you have to look at the nakshatras, you have to look at the dashas. Now there's so many dashas. I can't even explain to you all these dashas. There's Gemini astrology, which gives you these dashas. I can't say the word. I can't say the words right. I'm just horrible with that kind of stuff. But the normal dashas that everybody goes by, they're the nakshatra dashas. You go through these specific time frames. Okay, so right now I'm in my Venus dasha. Most people will be doing backflips in their Venus dasha, but my Venus is debilitated, so my Venus dasha isn't the best. But I'm in this Venus dasha, it's 20 years, these cycles, right? So before Venus dasha, I was in a Ketu dasha. Ketu dasha was rough. Not that bad, but it was definitely not it was interesting. See, Ketu dasha. Then Ketu dasha lasts from 1992 to 2000. Sorry, I thought it was longer. Yeah, till about 2000, because then I hit Venus dasha. Venus dasha is, that's what I've been in. Then I go to my sun dasha. So each dasha is a certain period of time. So you have to look at these things because you have to look like where's Venus sitting in your chart, right? You have to look where is it in a good placement? Is it in a bad placement? Is it with a bunch of other planets? Is it with Rahu or Ketu? Are you going through a Rahu or Ketu dasha? Because those two are unpredictable. Then this is like Shad Bala, strength of a planet. Shad Bala means strength, divisional strength, right? There's different balas. There's Shad Bala is just the strength, but you got to go into this. It's like the real Shad Bala. Sorry. Here's all the balas, right? There's all these different type of balas, not just like just this one Shad Bala. But the Shad Bala is kind of like the total, but it's going to give you, so for instance, this shows you required. So required for sun to be strong, it's 390. So I have 533 Shad Balas, right? It's supposed to be good. But that doesn't mean the sun's always going to be great. Let's put it that way, because my son's sleeping. So you got to look at all these different factors. It's important, but it's not the most important, right? It's going to give you some good, it's going to give you some bad. Now, also in an astrology chart, there's yogas, right? I'm just kind of showing you around the software too. So yoga, there's Ishta yoga, which is, there can be negative yogas and bad yogas that can come into play. There's thousands, there's got to look at so many different yogas. There's different books that you read for these things. So yogas will be like this plant, for instance. One yoga could be like if you have the sun and Mercury together, it can be X yoga, right? And it can be this. Now, a lot of people have that yoga, right? So is it in Leo? It's even better. Is it in, so it depends on where it's placed. So you got to look and see all these yogas. This astrology tells you all your yogas. See? So here's all my yogas, right? It gives you all this. I really don't look at these, but they're in here if you want to get this software. So then you go here, the sun. It's giving me 4.6 negative points in my first house when the sun is transiting in my first house. The yogas, it's giving me 4.6 of positives, and it can give me some negatives, right? Not as bad, but when it's in the first house, when it's in the second house, third house, right? Dignities and Vargas, that means, that's why this stuff is so complicated. So I'm just showing you, like, it's not, when I pull up charts and read people's horoscopes like quickly in like 5 seconds, that's what I say, like I studied these charts for an hour prior, because it's a lot more than just reading signs, right? You have to see where it's sitting, where it rules. Is it in good is it sitting with something? Is it aspecting it? Each planet aspects certain things. So that's a whole nother ballgame. Okay, so where else was I going? Main screen. There's Gemini astrology. There's Varshapal, which is yearly astrology. I love Varshapala. That's one of my, I always look at that. That's a yearly astrology. Then you can do your monthly charts, your daily charts. This astrology does. So then these are some other things that you got to look at. These here, they're significators. The AK, they're karkas. The AK is you, yourself, it's your soul. Your, the AMK, wherever that's sitting in your chart, you gotta look, see, moon. So that means my minister is the moon. Like gurus, who would I look up to? Fifth house. Fifth house is astrology, makes sense. BK brothers. Mars. Siblings. Mars is sitting with K2. That's why that was such a heavy influence in my life, right? Not only that, my brother passed away with Saturn in Scorpio. Right in here. Saturn, it's so crazy, like the exact same thing that had just happened. So, issues with brothers, siblings, right? It's in the chart. I'm the oldest. K2, usually when somebody has planets, sometimes if they have planets in the first house, they can be the oldest. Third house is younger siblings, 11th house is older siblings. Mother, MK, Venus. So my mom, it has Venus as a significance for my mother, which my mother is definitely, she's a worker. She was good with her hands because it's in Hasta, right? So my mom is a nurse anesthetist. She puts people to sleep. She was always like, she was the one that like instilled in us, like, don't ever rely on anybody, be independent, hard work, blah, 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 blah. So what else? PIK, that's the father. Saturn, yes, my father was a disciplinary. So was my mom. They were both strict. So you got to look at these things, right? GK is relatives. It's Jupiter. I don't really have a lot of relatives. But, yeah. And DK is spouse, so Mercury. I gotta look where my Mercury is. Mercury is in my 10th house. I actually did meet my husband at work. It's kind of funny. And that's my 10th house. 10th house is career. Not only that, my when I was getting married, it was like so activating that too. You also have to look at the 9th house for marriage for sure. And if you have Mars, if you have K2 in your 1st and 7th, or Rahu in your 1st and 7th, you'd be definitely attracted to foreigners, people of different culture, different race, different ethnicity. What else? So these are like significators, right? You can change birth times. You can transits. These are transits real time. What's going on with me in my life, okay? So this is always circular. So you got to learn that Western way. So as I'm a Scorpio, I have Sun in the 7th, Saturn in the 2nd. You can see right now how I was saying Saturn is in 1 degree 27 of Saturn right here. That's sidereal, right? If I switch this over to Vedic way or Western way, it will change and put it Western way. So you can easily do that. But the Nakshatras will be the same, pretty much. So you see, like, over here, it shows you today, right? This time, real time, Libra's in Chitra. Chitra Nakshatra is broken into Virgo and Libra. So the Virgo part is more of like the architects, the engineers, the people that build things, the designers that are like architect stuff. I would say like the people that build Dubai, right? I don't know, I'm just throwing something out there. But then it's broken up, and then if it hits into Libra, that can make somebody just like a celebrity, a dancer, famous, like a famous celebrity, singer, dancer, stuff like that, actor, because it's in the Libra part. Libras are more, you know, outgoing, life of the party, ruled by Venus, than Virgo. Okay. Sun is in Rohini, right? So I know that the Sun is in Rohini. So these are going to change. Like the Sun is in Taurus, but it's in Rohini. So these are how these nakshatras are coming. You can go here and see what all this means, because it's all here. This is great software. You go to my site, oneofkindbyheidi.org. Go to the top, purchase Kala, go click on it, takes you right to the thing. It's expensive, but quite honestly, I learned through this. Like I went through everything, Googled it. I learned backwards, but I do everything backwards, literally. Then there's this transit calendar, right? This is fun. So you could see these are good days, bad days, anything above the scale. Oh, I should be having a good May. May was okay. June's gonna not be fun. July's gonna be not so fun. Okay, anyway. So these are, these are other things that it does. In addition to that, there's also, this is fun, but I'm not gonna click on it. Transit predictions, you can scroll through here from this date to this date. Okay, so select Varga. Varga is specific charts, okay? So basically your chart is broken up into these 12 houses. Well, these 12 houses have charts within charts, okay? So you have an aura chart, that's your D2, it's called. It's your wealth chart. Your D3, Drekana, that's for your siblings. You gotta look at that for your siblings. Your D4, you gotta look for like the acquire real estate, property, land, that's your D4 chart. So if you wanna see when you're gonna buy a house, right? Or when you're gonna buy a car, I can look and go to this chart, screen this year, and then it's going to search this whole thing, look at all the aspects, all the things, and it's going to pull it. Another thing that it can do, this is one of the last things I'm going to talk about on this show, because there's just so much to talk about on this. You can clearly see that Vedic astrology is way more than just a couple signs. That was my whole point of getting on here, was talking about this. So this is Murharta. Murharta means when is going to be the best time to do something. Now, doesn't mean it's always going to be successful. Like, because if you only have a specific yoga for this like for this to happen, but it might be the best day of that you could ever have, right? So right now, you can see if I wanted to, there's all this is in here. If I wanted to construct a house, if I want to take a lie detector test, I don't know if I needed to go to court. If I use this, like if I have to go in an interview, right? Or if I want to, no, I don't use this for everything, for sure. Like, you can't let this rule your life or you'll drive yourself crazy. But like in certain Indian culture, there's, you know, with Vatsu, there's pujas, there's, you know, certain things. There's for like building a house. There's a lot of things that you have to do just to build a house. It's not just like build the house, the front doors northeast. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of systems. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes with that. And this software does that. So it was funny when I sold homes to my my community of Indians, I would like bust this out. I mean, it's funny, but it was true. But I will say that my whole house is FOTSU compliant, so I believe it because I started testing it. I would go to everybody's door, like, is this front door from southeast or southwest? It wasn't good. But the only thing is, you have to get. It's way more. It's not just like, oh, is my front door northeast? There's roof slopes. The water's in the east. That's good. I mean, there's so many components to this. It's not just like, you know. I look at it like, I think you got to start looking at it into the signs or the nakshatras too, but that's just me and my way I'm thinking. But, you know, these are all important things. I mean, if you let this control your life, you could see where you would never leave your house. You would just study astrology, which when I went through a Saturn return and a rough dasha, I did do a lot of this because I was scared. Saturn is fear. So I was stressed out, fear, so it was almost like a nice meditation and a nice dealing with my problems was to learn astrology to figure out why. And then it tells you like the points and bad points. And this is all really based off these nakshatras too, like really what this is talking about. Like, is it, what nakshatra? Is it good, bad? What does it mean? Is it Panchanga? It's Tara. What kind of Tara is it? Tara is a specific thing. Like, is it going to bring to fruition? There's certain parts of Tara. There's so many different components of this. It's not just like, oh, it's good or it's bad. But if you learn it, this is the kind of stuff you can figure out. That's why I say in my things, any video I do, if everybody knew astrology, the world would be an interesting place, right? There's Ashta Varga, okay? This is a specific points. Like, how much strength is this house going to give you? How much... so for instance, when Venus is transiting in my 6th house, how much points, strength is it going to give me? The max, I think it's 8. But, you know, is it going to get, if it's 0, it's going to be hell, right? If it's 6, it's going to be good. But you also got to be careful, I've noticed, because when you have high, and if it's like Mars, it could be bad, right? So that's where I think people get it a little dicey. Compatibility, this does great compatibility. I love doing compatibility readings. If anybody has, I'm going to be honest, I won't go on a date with anybody unless I know what time they're born. I've been single for a long time now because, you know, it's easy. I know what's important in my chart. I know what certain things aren't going to work in my chart for me, and I don't waste any time anymore. I know that sounds really pathetic, but it's just the way I am, and it's not changing. So compatibility, I'll just show you real quick. So I'm going to do a compatibility with, I don't know, let's see. Now you could do this with like business partners too, right? Don't think I don't do this with everybody that I know, right? God, I've got so many charts. All right, this Heidi, I'm going to do my compatibility with Donald Trump, since you know everybody knows how much I like him. Literally. Okay, so where is this chart? Okay. So me and good old Donald, right? His sun sits in my 7th house, right? So this is houses. Baha means house. Rasi means sign. Sarva is a specific, it's points, like it's a number added up to get to a total. Specific taras, and I just talked about these, but unless you've like studied astrology, you won't know what those mean anyway. So long story short, in India, they arrange marriages from this, right? And all they look at, they really basically look at, are your moons compatible? Which is important for sure, right? So meaning, are you guys gonna like, on a moon type, are you gonna get, like, are you gonna have a nice friendship? Are you gonna be compatible? Like, are you gonna be able to live together without killing each other? You know, just that kind of stuff. As long as you have 20 points is significant in the Indian system. And that's really what they look at the most. And you gotta look at your birth chart and Navamsha. Your Navamsha chart's what you turn into in a way. So like at 40, you hit that chart. So you gotta look at both. Because sometimes you could have a good birth chart, and then, you know, maybe if you're dating somebody that's older, you put in their chart, like I do my chart, my birth chart to his Navamsha chart. So there's charts within charts, right? You got to see what it's aspecting. Do you have a trine? Do you have a Venus-Moon connection? Do you have where's Rahu and Ketu sitting? That's really important. Do you have a sun connection? That means you guys are going to have fun together. Moon connection, you're going to think kind of like in a strategic, nice way that it's going to work. Now, there are all these karmic curses, like Manglik and all this stuff that can be damaging. So yeah, there are certain things about it that you really should look at, because there are certain nakshatras that aren't going to fly together. And this is working with nakshatras. Our Mars is strong, so it makes sense why I like to fight. I fight for him, like, because I have like, it's so true. Why I like actually have so much, I feel like I have to stand up for him, because he's 31 points. That's like really good points, right? Mercury, 24. Him and I would communicate well together. Okay, communication, that's what the Mercury is. Jupiter, do we have the same beliefs? We would have the same beliefs. We actually have really good compatibility. Makes sense why even regardless of ever doing this, like I can tell you this is why I've always just, regardless of what anybody says, I know his chart I know his intentions in a way. Venus, we'd have a Venus compatibility. Saturn would even be good, like longevity, which that's why I really believe it. Like, it's not like when something goes wrong, I'm like, oh no, he could be bad, right? I'm like, no, he is the way he is, and it is what it is. And I would that's why I get so serious about it. Okay, so then you have to see where each other's houses are sitting. So if his moon is sitting in my 1st house. So funny. So if his moon was sitting in my 8th house, I'd probably hate him. Or like if somebody's moon is sitting in your 8th house, it could be you're so attracted to them sexually. It can be like from crazy sex, and then you end up hating each other. So it can be like, or if you have Rahu and Ketu in like the 8th and 12th, his Rahu and Ketu is in the 1st and 7th. So guarantee you I was probably, in some sort of relationship with Donald Trump in a past life at some point. Who knows, for a quick minute, in one of the many lives I could have been. But that's why, literally, his planets sit in all my houses of, good houses. Nothing really bad. Just career, they're activating, nice things, right? But you can see where some people, where they're activating all horrible things, like 6th houses. 8th houses, 12th houses. That's a lot of, you got to look at this. Then you got to look at sex things, because in India, maybe they don't look at that as much, but I know I'm going to be looking at if somebody else has Scorpio Venus, for me, that's going to be really important because, sexually, you got to look at those things. That's important stuff. So this is all, you could see sometimes if you have planets sitting exact on each other, you have been together in a past life, real close, right? So Venus, Jupiter together, right? This is kind of crazy that I'm even saying this, but I mean, who knows how many lifetimes we've all lived together, and it just is what it is. Doesn't mean I love Donald Trump, like love him like that now, but point is, that's why I feel like my views on him and why I always feel like I have to stand up for him, and I couldn't even tell you why. It just always felt that way. And for me to actually like stick up for somebody to where I'm making YouTubes about them, that's kind of interesting because I really don't care about politics. Not so much, unless there's somebody really crooked in there. Which is why when this whole election was going on, I was looking at conspiracy channels because I thought I was going to a FEMA camp. I was petrified. And somehow I ended up being on Rex's channel, looking at conspiracies. I was thinking if she wins, our lives are over and I'm going to a FEMA camp because of my YouTube search. Like, I didn't realize like how much anxiety I was having over it, and it really was bothering me. I live close to DC. Just is what it is. And her chart certainly is, like I've said before, she's got a lot of like skeptical things going on, like conflictions with your moon, Mars and Rahu. That's crazy. In Slatia, Cancer, not good, right? And that's not the only thing. So you have to look at these things because when you know somebody's Nakshatras, like somebody could say, oh, Donald Trump, he's got moon and K2 together, he's crazy. Like I know somebody said that to me before. And he's not. What people don't understand is nobody understands K2 like Heidi does, okay? So in Scorpio, K2 does very well, very well. So when K2 is with the moon in Scorpio, which is what he has, Vedic sidereal way, that's not going to react like a K2 moon in Ardra. Not going to be the same. Completely different. 100%. In the 4th house versus the 12th house, completely different. What kind of strength does it have? What kind of aspect does it have? These are things that people don't think of. So when people go up and like ramble on some of the shows that I do in the Leap Project, I'm like, you only knew. Because it's so much more complicated than just, and Vedic way is totally way more, what's the word? Calculative. There's just more parts to it. It's just not as, there's great things about Western astrology. Don't get me wrong. But point is, you can't judge a book by its cover all the time. And in my opinion, these nakshatras really tell you somebody's soul. So really what that intention is. Because I can tell you that I've had readings. I have Mars and K2 conjunct in my 1st house. Mars and K2 together, 9/11 attack happened with Mars and K2 conjunct, right? Now, here's the difference. I've got Mars and K2 in Scorpio. At that time, during that specific incident, Mars and K2 were in Eula, which is Sagittarius. So, is Mars and K2 going to be the same in Sagittarius? Is it? Because, like, literally, people have said to me, hey, I'm not surprised you're in the military, or, they were like, basically, they have said to me, like, you're borderline, could be a terrorist, right? Like, I've said that. Like, that, they're, like, hint around that. But really, guess what else Mars and K2 together can be? It can totally be astrology. It can be, because it's deep, dark things. Like, people don't understand. Yeah, Sagittarius, if I was Western way, that would be me Western. It's interesting. It's just, you have to, and when it's in Eula, that's a different nakshatra. So maybe Mars and K2 together in Purva Shada, part of Sagittarius, it's not going to be as extreme as it is in Eula. Eula is a different beast. So each part of Sagittarius, each nakshatra has a different wave of energy. So unless you know those, and you know how those intentions are going to be, it's really hard. You shouldn't judge. Let somebody, it is what it is. And I think when people start like judging based off of all this stuff, that's when it becomes a problem, and that's when the karmic laws of astrology, in my opinion, come in. You got to be careful when you are into astrology. And even for me, there's certain things, certain topics I don't go in and I don't mess with, because why? like if somebody had so many horrible, negative, sick things, do you think I'm going to tell them that? Absolutely not. Why? Why would I do that? I mean, it's just like, you want to talk about the positives. Now, if there is something that they should be aware of, something that they could check, maybe a preventative thing, yes, you need to like tell them about it, right? Like if you see a specific pattern in somebody's chart for something like, you know, knee issues or arthritis, or I'm just throwing something out there. Teeth things where you could lose your teeth. I don't know. Like you're somebody that would have to go to the dentist, right? You're somebody that would have to get, there's just all these things that you really need to look at. So you have to be careful, because I've been told, you know, I was told that I was going to die already. I would have already been dead. So I don't know if I like karmically changed it or not, but you know, you have to be careful, because you can really, really hurt people. Like some people aren't going to be like how I am and buy the software and investigate it myself. Not everybody's going to do that. Like you have to understand a lot about astrology to, there's certain things I just personally think shouldn't be kind of messed with. So, you know, this is like just some of my stuff here. There's progressions for the Western folks. You know, there's things going on with that. Varshapal is the yearly chart. This is this year. These are, this is some of the balas, some of the strengths, like what's going to be my strength periods, aspects, and then these shams. Okay, these are like specific dates. These are Persian points, specific dates. You got to be careful. There are like aspects. There's certain events. Like when it says death year on these dates, I don't leave my house. I'm going to be honest. And then Avestas, this tells you like you can switch charts here. You can make this each chart, right? Or a D2. There's all these different charts. My D60, end all tell all chart, right? That's the D60. Oops. Sorry. Change this, change these charts around. You can see the strength. That's my D60. How much strengths are all my charts going to have, right? You can see this Mercury is giving me this much strength, this much, this much. This is all stuff you can see. You can change the bala. This is using Shad Bala, but you can do it with yogas and see is it giving you bad yogas or good yogas. This gives you the Lord's directions. Last thing, maybe I'll talk about hit list. So the other chart was kind of like this. But say you wanted to know if Sun is conjunct, opposing, trine, square, all this stuff, two natal, second house cusps, retrogress, ingress, sign, nakshatra, bhavha, equal, that means like equal house cusp, or not equal, direct, retrograde. You can just do searches here, all that stuff. Pregnancy things, there's birth control things. You can see like the days you're going to be the most fertile, best days to try to get pregnant, or not get pregnant. What else? Cards of truth. This is interesting. I don't know much about it. I tried, but it's tough. Like, cards of truth are, this is the Magi thing, the tarot cards. I don't really mess with this. All I do know is I'm a Queen of Clubs card. Queen of Clubs, this is like the spreads. I don't know anything about these. I tried to use these with like predicting the Powerball one day just for fun, like specific numbers with the ecliptic days. But this is a whole nother beast. So Ernst Wilhem has classes on all this and on his stuff. You know, you have to know, this is like the original tarot, right? So you can do tarot with a deck of playing cards. I know nothing about it whatsoever, besides I'm the Queen of Clubs. And I don't even know what that means. I've tried to look, but it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not into that stuff. So tarot tables, these are nakshatras and what kind of tarot it's giving. this is for another day because it's a lot. All right, so really that is going to be my little class on Vedic astrology. So like I said, thank you so much for all my new subscribers. I just want to tell you, I know a lot of people ask, can you tell me the difference between Western, Vedic, and, you know, I'm not a teacher. I don't teach well. I mean, honestly, I'm like the person that I know patterns, I know what it means, but like for me to explain it, it's really hard. So, you know, there's just, this is a very, very, that's why I always say, like, I'd be more than happy to tell you every great astrologer, because my gift is, personally, I think it's like telling the word, like giving advice. I've always been good at giving guidance, no matter what. Even if I suck at taking my own advice, I'm pretty good at giving advice. I'm good at reading people. Like, I've always been good at reading people, and that's learning that in sales, right? In everyday life. I know, I can sense who's good, who's bad, who's not, who's this intention, that's intention. Now I can really know what's good, bad, and all that stuff. So really, I used astrology in my own selfish way to control my own life, so I wouldn't have to deal with, you know, in a way, that's why I originally started with astrology. I had no intentions of like doing astrology shows on YouTube or reading charts. That all happened overnight, literally. And, you know, I love it. So if one day I can just do that, wouldn't that be awesome? And I guess, because that's my favorite thing to do, is study charts. When I don't watch TV, unless I watch the news, I don't, you know, for events, I listen to police scanners. I've listened to these things for years. And so so you know what kind of person I am. Like, I'm not somebody that watches TV shows, like the reels. Like, I want to know why we're here and how I can make the best of it, like what I'm supposed to be doing here. And I think that's, you know, one of the most important things that you can learn about astrology is you can learn those things. So how to make the best of all situations, whether what cards are dealt to you in your life, you know, because even somebody that has the most money, I went from living literally in a 4,000 square foot big home. We built 2 homes. I was making a ton of money. I was living in a nice community. I was selling there, living there, selling there, all this stuff. I was miserable. I can tell you, like, I wasn't happy. Now I'm living in a 600 square foot shoebox in the water, and my life is 100% different. I'm so much more happier. I'm so much more, I can't even explain it. So life isn't all what it's cracked up to be, like the materialistic stuff, and everybody worries about that. And yes, that's important. Don't get me wrong. Like, I still want nice shit, I'm going to be honest. But, you know, you just need to focus on, I think, when you're going through a lot of those things. Like, if I would have learned my chart way before my Saturn return, I probably would have saved more money, right? And not got screwed over in my divorce so bad. Like, I would have made better decisions. So you can really just be in control of your own life in a way, and to the best of its capability. I mean, there are certain things that are out of your control, absolutely. But if I always bring this up, because if I know I'm going through an accident-prone transit, you know, I drive slower. I mean, I'm not going to not go somewhere unless I have a death transit. And, you know, but you can just make better decisions. And it's just, I mean, I'd rather, like, I don't want to lose my arms or legs being in a car accident because I'm in an accident. Like, if I can avoid that and stay home that day, it's not that big of a deal. Like, if I know everybody else, there's a certain energy today, right? It's a certain energy that everybody's going crazy. I just know, like, A, don't take any offense to if they're going to act like a jackass. B, everybody's going to be a little crazy, so you want to avoid certain situations. Like, don't go out and start talking about X, right? And get people ramped up. So, like, if you use astrology this way, I promise you, there's nothing negative that can come out of it. Like, it's just, you're going to use it to have control of your life, to make you live in a little less stressful environment and make the best of it. So that's all I have to say for today. That was long. I hope that helps. And we're doing some more shows this week. I think Jenny and I are going to do a show tomorrow. I do like to talk about some of the negative stuff because I am definitely one of those people that likes to look at, like I said in that one video, I'm criminal justice, corrections, that's my passion. So yes, I like investigating things. So, it might not always be the most positive topic, but that's why personally I want to eventually, which I already have one, it's just a lot going on right now. When I do a chart for somebody that there's somebody I did a chart for somebody in Canada, entrepreneur, actor, starting something up. I did his chart, we recorded it, I'm going to use it as a show. So to launch these things, because I think that's like where you can use this to the benefit. If somebody has a certain gift, certain skill, you can do that with this YouTube stuff now, with this media. It's not like you needed to go for acting roles. It's not like you have to go try out. You can literally make a video, post it on YouTube. It's a different world. So there's different opportunities now, better opportunities for people. So I think also my goal is to help everybody else be successful. That's what I love doing. So if I can make that person confirm that goal, because sometimes all you need to hear is that's what I'm supposed to be doing. That's all you need, period. And when you know that and you can confirm it from a stranger that doesn't know anything about you besides the month, day, year, city, time, location of your birth, it's pretty crazy. So that's all I have to say. Have a good week, everybody, and thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. And also, please, if you didn't find me from the Leak Project, look at the Leak Project, because Rex has been, I said in my last video, kudos to him, because this is why I'm doing this. It's a little overwhelming, but sometimes when you're supposed to be doing astrology, you're literally forced into astrology, and it's great because I wouldn't want to do anything else but astrology. So I love it. It's my favorite thing to do. And have a good night, guys. If I can end this.